We were on friendly terms with Sergey from initial classes of school. They moved to our city in connection with the translation of the father on service. He was Sergey military, so it turned out that they lived with us in one house, and we with Sergey for days on end were together. Together in school, together with school. Our parents too so got used to see us together, as cooked food at once for two. That is, we serially were on a visit at Sergey at me, but it was convenient to our parents. They always knew where to look for us. So was in elementary grades, and then, of course, we could be during the day, anywhere, but at this time cell phones already appeared, and if necessary, parents could phone to us easily. At the same time, if one didn't answer, then called another. Parents joked about it. We will be confused to our son, Sergey or Sashka soon. Sashka is I. Generally, you understood as far as we were amicable. And suddenly all this ended. The Sergey went in the footsteps of the father, and I came to military college in our city, and I went to go to the university in the regional center. At first, I strongly lacked Sergey. At first, we constantly exchanged calls, but then there were new friends, other interests, and to communicate we became much more rare. But when one of us came to the city where there was another, of course, we surely met. After the termination of school, Sergey sent to serve to other city, and I remained in the regional center, got a job in Research Institute, the research associate. And in a year after the termination of the university, I married the classmate with a beautiful name, Veronika. The Sergey at our wedding wasn't, though we with Veronika invited him as he was wound on business trips on the military affairs at this time. I told about him to Veronika so much that she knew Sergey not worse me. And sometimes, when he called, and I couldn't for any reason answer, they long stirred with Veronika, and then she retold to me all Sarajevan news. The Sergey I was still not married. He explained it with difficulties of army service that not any wife will want to be at home constantly one and to constantly expect the husband from business trips. Besides, military constantly somewhere move, and it is especially difficult to bring children in such situation. There is among military such statement that if you began service in the West, then you will graduate from it in the East. With Veronika we lived 3 years, but didn't bring children yet. Wanted to equip a few life and for itself to live, and then to think of children. And once after work, Veronika tells me news that in 2 days to us, to our city in a business trip there will arrive Sergey. Surprised me a little that he called Veronika, though at this time I constantly was in touch. I didn't attach its significance as considered time Veronika my wife, also the friend at us the general means. We worked with Veronika in different places, but after work usually met, walked on the city. Sometimes came into cafe houses not to prepare and to find time each other once again. It is clear, as far as I was excited by this news. Of course, I wanted to meet the friend. Therefore, we discussed with Veronika in advance, then we will treat the guest and where together with him we descend. I called Sergey to learn what plans at him. He a little me upset with what will once walk on the city to him, and here he would like to stop at us. And time to communicate will be more. I answered it that, of course, it is better to stop at us. Be at one, and I will acquaint it with Veronika. What he with laughter answered, Sashak, we so much with her already spoke by phone for these years that it seems to me, I know her not worse you. Besides, I your videos and photos reconsidered so much that you to me both family seem. Nothing remained to me as to agree with him. Veronika too sincerely was happy that she at last live will get acquainted with my best friend about whom stories I dinned her into the ears. Generally, by several visits of large shopping centers, we hammered with products the fridge, understanding that Sergey will arrive from the remote place and we have an opportunity to indulge him with local treats. Veronika about it counted week holidays that there was an opportunity to keep house's order and to prepare refined treats for the guest. At home, the positive atmosphere of the coming holiday reigned. Otherwise, I couldn't call our forthcoming meeting. And this day came. We expected arrival of the guest in the evening. He told that he will reach by the taxi. Veronika by the fixed time laid a smart table in which center there was a bottle of cognac good expensively. Veronika doesn't love cognac, and especially for her we got a bottle of good red wine. The doorbell notified that our guest had arrived. We went to meet the guest together. I expected Sergey to be in uniform, but he was in a citizen. Yes, he has changed a lot during this time. The school and the army did their job. He turned into a slim, athletic man. In addition, he was dressed, as is called, from the needle. It smelled of expensive perfume. I was the first to take him into my arms, and we hugged him for a few seconds like a man, as if measuring our strength. Seryoga, good to see you. I'm glad too, Sashak. Veronica, good to meet you. Yes, Seryazha, I am glad too. Sashan's friend is my friend. Veronica hugged him and kissed him on the cheek. Veronica took him to a room reserved for his business trip. She showed where you can hang things. Did he need to ask something else, and said that the table was set, and that, as soon as Sergey put himself in order, he would go to the table. Yes, it smells delicious, commented Sergey. I'm fast. We left so as not to interfere with the guest. I was still smiling, and Veronica was very colorful, which was not like her, from which I concluded that Seryoga made a strong impression on her. So you met my best friend, about whom I told you so much. Sergey did not have to wait long, military training affected. A few minutes later we sat down at the table. As always in such cases, they began the conversation with memories from the past life. Veronica listened to her friends with interest. They were so different: slender, toned, internally assembled Seryazha and slightly fuller, soft, relaxed Sasha. They kind of complemented each other, and now they both liked Veronica. She kept her eyes on both of them. At the same time, she hardly listened to their conversation, and when Sasha turned to her, she was confused, not knowing what to answer. She blushed from it, even more embarrassed. But friends have already taken a little cognac, and Sasha did not even pay attention to Veronica's confusion. Her glass was full of wine, and she drained it in one breath. After that, the embarrassment and confusion released her, and she began to participate in a common conversation, laugh, and sometimes insert her jokes into the conversation. Soon, friends had a feeling that they had not parted, and as if Veronica and Sergey had known each other since those ancient times. Time flew by quickly. At some point, Sergey interrupted the conversation. Guys, thank you so much for such a warm meeting, but you have to sleep. Tomorrow morning, I have to be in the organization and look like a proper way. So we disperse in our sleeping places. Veronica, special thanks. Everything was very tasty, and I'm glad we finally met. Good night. Veronica had to get up much earlier to make breakfast for 3 in advance. It turned out that Sergey got up even earlier than her, and in the half-open door of the room she saw him doing exercises. She looked at him unwittingly, as he was with a bare torso and pumped muscles played on his body. For herself, Veronica noted that Sasha does not do exercises at all and does not engage in his muscles at all, so the cubes on his body are not visible. Everything is swollen with fat. Of course, she loves Sasha like that, but still he would have to tell him that the man's muscles are painted. At this time, Sergey had already finished charging, and passing by the kitchen to the bathroom, he saw that Veronica was already busy with breakfast and went to greet her. Veronica could not stand it. Seryazha, and you do exercises every day or from time to time? Of course, every day. And on weekends too. And on the weekend. Yes, it's probably worth it. That's what your body is pumped up. It's nice to watch. And Veronica touched him with her hand, walked her chest and cubes on her stomach. From this touch, the fire blazed in her body, and she involuntarily flushed. Sergey noticed this, but he was pleased with it. They are like relatives, and he did not attach importance to the embarrassment of Veronica. Veronica was cutting lettuce at the time and felt her hands tremble. She immediately stopped cutting and took up something else so that Sergey would not notice her excitement. Sergey went to the bathroom to take water procedures, and Veronica was still impressed. Sergey's half-naked body was still in front of her eyes, and contrary to common sense, she wanted to touch him. There were butterflies at the bottom of her stomach, and there was nothing she could do about it. And she could not, and did not want to change anything. After all, she is a living person who is characterized by normal human desires. If Sasha does not care that he should always be attractive to his own wife, then this is his problem. There will be a reason to think if he notices Veronica's reaction to Sergey. When Sergey left the bathroom and went to his room, Veronica spent a long look at him, pampering her fluttering butterflies. It's time for me to get up too. From the voices in the kitchen, I realized that Sergey, too, had already risen. Therefore, I did not, as usual, lie in bed for the last minutes, but immediately got up. I went into the kitchen. Sergey had already left for his room. Veronica was preparing breakfast. I walked up out of habit and smacked her on the cheek. Noticing that she was very colored, I decided that I was nervous that it was necessary to cook breakfast faster so that Sergey would not be late in his business. Although, there seemed to be nothing to be nervous about. The table was almost set and waiting for us. Veronica had only a few little things to do. Veronica hurried me, saying that it was time for Sergey to go out soon, and in order to have breakfast together, I need to hurry up. In general, in a few minutes we were already sitting at the table. There was no time for conversations, so me and Sergey limited themselves to compliments to Veronica about the breakfast she had prepared. Then Sergey and I left each for our own business, and Veronica stayed at home. Leaving the house, I smacked Veronica in the cheek. Sergey did the same. It even amused me. I even specially called Veronica and joked that in connection with Sarajin's arrival, her number of kisses doubled. She also laughed into the phone and also joked in response, "Look, whatever else has doubled." I realized that she gave it out without thinking, on the wave of my joke, but it somehow annoyed me in the heart. And then all the episodes of Veronica's embarrassment after Sergey's arrival surfaced before my eyes. I actually do not consider myself jealous, but then suddenly I was overwhelmed by an unpleasant feeling, which, as I realized, is called jealousy. But I began to reassure myself that Seryoga is my best friend, Veronica is my beloved wife, who never gave a reason to doubt her loyalty. It was possible to extinguish the unpleasant feeling as it approached work and as a result of switching thoughts to work. In general, I entered the office already in a normal state and noted for myself that I successfully coped with stupid thoughts. There was no time to think about any nonsense at work. The working day was coming to an end. I gradually began to gather when suddenly the chief called me to him. While went to the chief's office, inside there was a vague presentiment that someone intends to change my plans, and left. The chief looked very anxious. "Alexander, our customers had a problem with our program. They just called me. The situation is very serious. They can have heavy losses if it isn't possible to fix a problem quickly. I can rely only on you, as so far only you possess full information on a configuration of the program and its algorithm, and only you will be able quickly to find a problem and to eliminate it, or at least to minimize losses. Sasha, it is necessary to go right now. Time, money, we can't risk reputation, so competitors only also wait that we will make a mistake on something. Valery Vasilievich, give I in the morning to them I will go. At my place there is a guest. My best friend arrived. He here in a business trip for only several days. Several years didn't seem, and it is unknown how many still then we won't meet. And who is he at you in the specialty? Military. Oh, Sasha, the military even shouldn't explain. He accurately knows what is the order and that it is necessary. The car already waits for you. 3 hours there, 3 back. And in a couple of hours you will deal with a problem. I am confident in it. So only one night. And there I for a couple of days will give compensatory leaves to you. Everything, call home. Warn the wife, call the friend that put urgent. He will understand. Having left an office, I called Veronica. She was surprised to my call because she already waited that I will be home soon. In her voice the concern sounded. Sasha, what happened? I wait that you already just about will come. Sergey already at home. We wait for you. After I explained her a situation, she somehow easily agreed. Sash, well timed, the administration wants you to go right now, so go. Especially as compensatory leaves will give then. That you will cope, I don't even doubt. Itself think you will be absent only less than a day. Sergey, precisely here will be some more days, so you will have enough communication still. All right, give Sergey's tube. The Serega you represent, I to a business trip am sent right now. The chief doesn't accept any objections. After the compensatory leaves promises. You sorry, that so turns out. Work is work, but this less than a day, I am quickly. Sashak, what conversation? Time it is necessary, means it is necessary. We will manage to have a good long talk still. At heart cats scraped, but it was necessary to go. All right, I will try to solve a problem fast. To go, however, it is far. Until we go, I will try to doze. The experienced driver to entertain him that didn't fall asleep, it won't be required. The chief told that customers will wait for me and are ready to provide assistance. Everything I go. I took all documentation and forward. Sergey was upset a little. He already anticipated an evening feast and a sincere talk, memoirs of the past. And yes, so plans were unexpectedly torn down. Though, there is Veronika, to talk is with whom. Looking at her, you won't tell that she strongly was upset because of the Sashkini business trip, but perhaps just shows no sign. Seryaja, we will go to have supper, we will be together. If so it turned out. The table was already laid, but because of the absence of Sasha, the spirit of Sergey was not that anymore. After all, he wanted to communicate to Alexander, but he calmed himself the fact that it is only one evening. The spirit could change only now. Cognac, which, as well as yesterday, stood in the center of a table, and wine for Veronika. Sergey poured her a full glass of wine and himself half a glass of cognac. I suggested to drink for a successful business trip of Sasha that he returned quicker. Veronika, as well as yesterday, drained a glass to the bottom, then became very talkative and fun-loving. Sometimes Sergey kept up insignificant talk, but then pled fatigue and went to sleep. Veronika, made the dissatisfied person, tried to persuade Sergey to sit still, but it didn't stop him. He wished to Veronika good night and left to the room. Veronika remained at a table one. She poured to herself still a glass of wine and began to sip it practically without having a snack. Wine woke her imagination. She remembered a naked torso of Sergey which I saw in the morning and which even I touched. In the bottom of a stomach, butterflies zapper cat again. The imagination was played out right, and unexpectedly at it the plan ripened. Cognac and fatigue made the business. Sergey fell asleep almost instantly. At first he dreamed some confusion which prevented to relax, and even in a dream he tried to banish uneasy thoughts somehow, though he couldn't understand the meaning of concern, just something very unpleasant dreamed. Then suddenly troubles recede, and short but very bright pictures which for some reason force him to prick up the ears as though they pose in themselves threat begin to dream him. He suddenly sees the beautiful nude woman who attracts him somewhere. He waves away from her, but she appears again and again, and at last he feels near himself a nude female body. And suddenly he understands that it is not a dream anymore. Opens eyes and sees near himself Veronika. He sharply comes off a bed, still up to the end without understanding what occurs. Veronika laughs and calls him back in a bed. Seryaja, what you were frightened of? We are some. Sasha will return, most likely, by the evening. And he learns nothing. The dream instantly passes. Inside it Sergey, everything begins to boil for rage. Veronika, as you can, he is my friend. I will never betray him. Do you though itself understand? What are you doing? Do you want me to exchange our long-term friendship for several moments with you? What do you take me for? How will I Sashk look then in the face? I don't know how you are going to live further with it, but I will never act this way. Right now I call Sashk. Having thought that the situation is developed in her advantage, Veronika begins to finish Sergey, not to call Sasha. But Sergey quickly packs the things and leaves the room, and in several moments already dressed returns. Veronika still tries to dissuade Sergey to call Sasha, but he doesn't react to her sluggish requests. At first dials number of the taxi and does the order for the current time, and Sasha dials then number. Veronika felt that began to smell fried. Her drunk mind still hopes for something, but every moment the accident of her private life comes nearer. In a tube of phone the call is heard and almost instantly Sasha answers. The Sergey, what happened? Sasha, sorry, probably woke you, but business urgent. I didn't wake. I didn't even lay down. I already gather back. I solved a problem and now home. In about 3 hours I will be. So it happened? Sashak, I in hotel move, already called the taxi, will approach soon. The Sergey, you took offense? I told that not long. Sash, for what I will take offense at you itself think. Here another. And what another? Wait a minute. Veronika told something like that? Yes, matter in Veronika, but if it is short, then I with her wouldn't go on reconnaissance. Of course, this your business, but I don't want because of her our friendship to fail. That is she to you climbed? She provoked you? Yes, indeed. Therefore I also decided to move to hotel. That at you even doubts in this respect didn't arise. I can't see her, it is opposite, and for you it is offensive. You represent I slept, and she naked jumped to me in a bed. I had to retire urgently. In a tube the silence set in. Then Sasha squeezed out from himself. The Sergey, give her a tube. I will tell her couple of tender. Veronika began to justify herself at once. Sasha, you don't think nothing bad. I just joked, and Sergey apprehended everything seriously. You know, I love only you, and I will never afford anything of that kind. Sasha interrupted her babble. In his voice, metal notes sounded, "Close a mouth. Also listen carefully to me. I won't repeat. I hate traitors, neither men nor women. Therefore, I give you time till the evening to get out from my apartment together with the clothes. I will return in the evening. All things which will remain in the apartment will appear on a garbage can. All. Did you understand? No talk and justifications concerning jokes will exist. I trust Sergey how to. You for me don't exist anymore." I went, "Rubbish. Yes, give flat keys to the neighbor, the Aunt Masha. Give a tube to Sergey. The Serega, on me make a hotel reservation too. By the way, take the double room. I in 3 hours will already be at home. Call as you will settle everything. I go." An SMS came that the car had pulled up. Sergey, taking things without saying goodbye, left the apartment and slammed the door shut. I got into a taxi, named the address of the hotel, but asked the driver to call some convenience store on the way to buy a bottle of cognac and eat something. I noticed that the driver somehow strangely mowed at him, so Sergey decided to explain. "A friend should return from a business trip in 3 hours. I think he will need cognac." The driver, noting that the client was very upset by something, decided to support the conversation. "Something happened? Some kind of trouble? Your order is unusual. At night, as a rule, they order a taxi to the airport or to the station. And you ordered from your home address to the hotel." Sergey wanted to speak out now, so he briefly told what happened. The driver, understandably, nodded his head and then told his story. "There was a similar case with me. I listened to you and decided that it would be useful for your friend to know the outcome of my story so as not to repeat my mistake. I got married early when I was in my 2nd year at university. Love was such that the roof was demolished, so there was no patience. Why they decided to get married. After university, they settled together in one organization. They were generally not spilled water. Some even envied us. Only with the children somehow failed. He sent her to the doctor, but she pushed back the visit all the time, said that she had to live a little for herself. 5 years passed after graduation. I became a leading specialist at work. They began to send me on business trips. The wife did not mind. She said that it promotes a career, do not refuse. Once I decided to surprise my wife when I was returning from a business trip ahead of schedule. I did not call her. I decided to please her with an early return. Arrived early in the morning. I open the door with my key, and I hear some movement, even some fuss in the bedroom. I go into the bedroom, and there the guest is an employee from our own department, only a rank higher than me, although not by much. Shin jumps, trying to quickly dress, and the wife climbed under the blanket with her head. I wanted to smack him, but I decided not to dirty my hands. He took him by the scruff of the neck and threw him out the door, followed by his belongings there. The wife read from under the blanket, "Nee, just don't beat me. I'm sorry, please. I don't know how it turned out. By chance it is." At work, the employee's birthday was celebrated, so I froze a little and he volunteered to spend me. And then, I don't even know, somehow it happened. I got out from under the blanket, tears with a stream. "I just love you, you know. It will never happen again, but I'm sorry." I didn't listen to all this. I left the house and went where the eyes look. I was just in some kind of shock. It was disgusting in my soul and I did not want to go home. I walked until dark, then came home. She rushed to me again. "Let's ask for forgiveness." He pushed her away, closed her in a small room. He did not close his eyes until the morning. She never bothered me again, gathered in the morning and went to work. And I understand that at work they already know everything about my horns. He probably boasted of her hay-hole. I decided to quit. I called, said that I was not feeling well. I would write a statement later. I think the boss was also already aware, because he immediately agreed without further questions. I decided to temporarily work in a taxi, and so far it temporarily stretches. And with her the situation was like this. For a month I did not appear home. I agreed with a friend to live. She began to call me to look for meetings with me. Mom connected her. She convinced me that my wife loved me. In general, a month later my storm subsided and I decided full to believe that it was by chance that it would not happen again. I was so kind by nature, I'm ready to forgive everyone. Tufiak in general. I loved her very much, after all, so many years together, and there was never a reason to break off the relationship or suspect a betrayal. So he forgave. but he became more attentive to everything that happens in the house. And after some time, I noticed that the behavior changed. Her began to twist more in front of the mirror, and obviously not for my sake. Walk around salons, lead beauty. There was a need to meet with some girlfriends. I decided to watch her, and one day I saw her in a taxi to the restaurant, and there her man met whom I did not know. I realized that betrayal does not end at once. A traitor is forever. This is what everything ended with us. I now live alone, and there is not the slightest desire to start a family. I won't be able to trust anyone else. Moreover, at this job as a taxi driver, you will have enough of betrayal and treason that the desire is forever repelled. Sergey listened silently without interrupting. So tell my story to your friend, and let it take into account my experience. Although he has his own head on his shoulders, you and I are not advisors to him. And you are well done, as a real friend did. I would be so proud of such a friend. I will give you my phone. You will be in the city. Call, take you where necessary. By the way, we are already cutting the third round around the city. Here is a store for you, and a hotel 300 meters away. Go buy a friend medicine, and I'll take you to the hotel. At the hotel, Sergey took a double room, explaining that the second person would drive up later. While he was in the room, took a shower to relax a little after all the events of today, Sasha also arrived. It was clear from his appearance that Sergey bought cognac for a reason. Sergey tried in every possible way to distract his friend, switch his attention, but he did not succeed, but he managed to cognac. And although the state of stress simply burned alcohol, the nerves from cognac still calmed down a little. A sleepless night soon made itself felt, and both friends went to their sleeping places and slept until the evening, having previously turned off their phones. In the evening, when Sasha turned on phone, many messages about the missed calls came. It is natural that the most part of calls was from Veronika, then from her mother. The meaning of calls was clear. For certain, wanted to persuade Sasha to forgive Veronika, but the more he thought of the incident, the more understood that return won't be. If the person neglected trust, then it forever. When friends after a long dream made toilet, decided to go home. Alexander wanted to make sure that Veronika fulfilled his requirement. It is unlikely she will begin to risk the things which, by the way, she very much liked to buy to herself, spending sometimes round sums for such purchases. Sasha treated it calmly. And now just I thought that she will meet not soon such person who will execute all her whims, sparing on it no expense. The house Sasha was waited by a surprise. Veronika didn't leave anywhere and, moreover, didn't even think to pack the things. Apparently, she hoped for Sasha's gentle disposition and was sure that he will forgive her. But such behavior of Veronika angered Alexander even more. He didn't allow her to tell any word. Silently, I opened a wardrobe. I raked up the dresses hanging in it, and without a word, I incurred them to wastebasket. Veronika tried to stop him, but he, without paying to her attention, threw all armful of dresses in a garbage container and went back. Veronika had enough pride not to get good from a dirty container. She understood that further she can lose also other things. It quickly brought her into feelings. She seized Sasha and a zaprikital. Sashing, please, isn't necessary. I understood everything. It is possible tomorrow I will take away everything to Mom. I give you honestly that I will surely make it. Here already Sergey took pity on her and began to finish Sasha to give her one more chance. All right, but only before my return from work, that even your spirit wasn't here. Otherwise, you already saw that I don't joke, and I will do the same with other your things. Also explain to the mom that she didn't call me and I didn't try to squeeze out from me forgiveness. My final decision, with the traitress I am not going to live. Understood everything? Tears a stream flowed from Veronika's eyes. She tried to speak something still, but Sasha turned and departed from her, letting know that the conversation is ended. At this time at Sasha, the mobile phone rang out. He looked, who calls? Well, here, only I spoke. Your mom calls. Right now, tell her that she didn't call me anymore, and that tomorrow you transport to her the things. Even don't try to draw me into a conversation with her. I don't want to hear Mom too. She brought up you such rubbish. More, I don't want anything to hear neither about you, nor about your family. I don't want to be with you under the same roof also today. Right now, call the taxi and go to Mom. Veronika understood that the further conversation doesn't make sense and spoke to the mom that she will drive up to her now. Mom, don't call more. Now I will approach and we will talk. Sasha doesn't want to talk to you. In total, I am disconnected. After that I called the taxi. Having come on kitchen, Sasha saw the laid table filled with various dishes. Probably, Veronika thus wanted to wash away guilt. But it angered Sasha even more. Take away all food to mom, or I will throw out her right now. Seeing that Veronika doesn't pay attention to his words, Sasha took a garbage can and began to throw out in him food from a table. Veronika silently watched the events. Sergey didn't interfere with family squabbles, really understanding that not to stop Sasha anymore. And at him everything boiled inside as it was offensive for the friend. Here and so in one day the family which Sergey considered exemplary failed, frankly envying Sasha. Even more Sergey upset the fact that he provoked this situation, having stopped at the friend for the period of the business trip. At the same time, to Sergey the thought already several times came that very easily Veronika decided on treason. Can do it for her already, not for the first time? And from it became even more opposite to it to see Veronika. Why in life everything is so difficult? There lives couple, shows mutual love, partners swear each other eternal love and fidelity. And in practice, once some provocative situation arises, as well as the love and fidelity pass into the background. Perhaps this unreliability of mutual oaths and real examples around also don't allow Sergey to get family? Before these events, Sergey was openly jealous of Alexander, and more than once he thought that he would not have been prevented from getting a family for a long time. And now involuntarily he has thoughts whether it is worth creating something that sooner or later will still collapse. The family of Veronika and Alexander was an exemplary example for Sergey, even the standard of the family. And this standard collapsed, leaving in his soul unpleasant impressions and a lot of doubts about the need to create his own family. Epilogue. Veronika kept her word and took her belongings the next day. She did not try to persuade Sasha anymore. Her mom, after hearing Veronika's story, said she was ashamed of Sasha for her daughter's behavior and she would not try to influence Sashino's decision. Sasha and Veronika issued a divorce and no longer crossed their paths. Alexander lost confidence in women for a long time and categorically rejected serious relations. He was absorbed in the job he loved and aspired to career advancement. Communication with women was episodic, usually without mutual obligations. Sergey left for his city a few days later. This business trip left negative impressions in his soul, and for several more years he threw off the idea of the need to get a family.